2, 1. Camera. Whoa.
I always feel like the guy on CNN, you know, holding papers and looking like he's reading something. I hope everybody's having a great Saturday. We actually have sunshine for the first time this week. No snow in the forecast for a change. That makes a nice change this week. Just for a day or two. But you know, whatever. It's been I have to say it's been a beautiful week. But we've had a little dusting of snow every single day this week. And so it's been cloudy and overcast. And I was kind of looking forward to a little bit of sunshine. And today, it's out with a vengeance. We have a beautiful sunshiny day and a rather nippy day. The sunshine is a nice perk. It's still, what, minus 17, I think, today. A little on the burr side. Today we're going to be painting, I think this is a really cute piece. Oh, we're up to minus 8. Up to minus 8. Minus 15 with the wind chill?
Minus 11.
Minus 11. Okay. Still not bad.
Wind coming from the west.
Wind out of the west. So today we're going to be painting a cute little teddy bear. This one is called Be Mine Valentine. This one is fun. It's got some interesting little techniques in it. Things that just sort of add a little something to a project. And we're going to be doing a little bit of fabric, faux fabric, just with a little bit of polka dots. And we're going to be doing a little texture on the bear with some drywall tape. And I'm going to show you how to make the nose look like it was embroidered. So we're going to have some fun doing a variety of things today, including some little cabbage roses. They're super easy to paint and you're going to love this technique. It's so fun. And of course, we're going to do a little stenciling for the background and, you know. Plus, we're going to be working with a very large palette of pink. I don't normally do pink. Pink is not one of my favorite colors, but pinks, reds, all these rose tones that we're going to use because it is Valentine's piece, so we need to have rose. So we're going to be doing that today, but before we get started, let's talk about the giveaways for today. We have a gorgeous set of Dynasty Black Gold Specialty brushes. It's a 4-brush set, and we're going to be giving away 3 of those, plus some other goodies, and a Create bag. So everybody's going to get a little something special out of that. So all you have to do to get in on those giveaways is to join us in the chat, hit the subscribe button. We'd really appreciate that. And just in general, hit all of the buttons, join us in the chat. All you got to do is say hi. At the end of the live, everybody's name goes onto the wheel and we'll spin it 3 times. And 3 of you will walk away with a set of those Dynasty brushes. So that's a great giveaway for today. And before we get started, I gotta say hi to a few people here. Marjorie Eaton. Hi, Marge. And Cindy Roberts. And Deanna Swindlehurst. Hello, sweetie. Hopefully things are pretty nice on the other coast this week. And Carol Colbert. Carol, thank you so much for the birthday card this week. That was so sweet. And yes, you were absolutely right. I absolutely love that paper quilling. I just thought that was such a clever birthday card, and I really do appreciate it. Thank you. And Lynn Poynenko, hi. Oops, knocking the cameras around today. Renee got them all working. I was supposed to do a live class on Wednesday night.
Coming up as Humble Pear.
Oh, how did you do that?
I don't know. It's YouTube being weird.
Okay. So Tuesday night or Wednesday night could not get cameras working at all. So of course Renee's the genius, so he figured out what I did wrong. You know, bound to be something. And Robin McComb, hello. And Linda Morgan says I'm not on YouTube. That's entirely possible. We had a little bit of trouble getting logged into it today. So Renee's going to sort that out for us. And there's Ann Davis. Hi. And Carly Shute. Hello. Yeah, there is lots to do in this piece. It's going to be a fun one. And Jessica Killeran. This says the Humble Pair. Are we live for the headed toward the ghost? Oh, yes. Yeah, we are live for the teddy bear. There's just a...
Yeah, for some reason
it's coming up as Humble Pear. Don't know why, because he did.
We have Be My Valentine upcoming.
Okay.
Don't know why.
Okay. Tech issues. There's gremlins. There's gremlins, tech gremlins. Anna Fleury, what's for dinner today? You're going to find this rather odd. I had a special request from my husband. We have a dish. It is a very simple dish. It's a poor man's meal, actually. It is a Newfie steak with mustard and brown sugar. And for non-Canadians, a Newfie steak is bologna. And we put baked bologna, and you top it with good strong mustard and lots of brown sugar, and you bake it until it caramelizes. And it's an old meal, but it's one of my husband's favorites. So, and he doesn't get it very often. I can understand why. so that's what we're having for dinner tonight. So yes, I know it's an odd one. I'm waiting for the comments. That should be pretty good. And what am I missing here? Oh, there's Karen. And Patrick. Hello, Patrick. The humble pair. Okay. It's Be Mine Valentine. Oh my goodness. So I think Renee's got it fixed now.
We'll see. Saved.
Yep.
There we go.
Jessica. Oh, good. I finally have a day that I can just sit here and be with you all. Oh, nice. Oh, Jess, I'm so sorry. There. Ear infection and a sinus infection. Yuck. Bologna is bolognese sauce or meatballs and sauce? No, bologna is a type of sausage. It is compressed, like Fleischwurst. If you've ever been to Germany, it's similar to Fleischwurst. It's just a large salami made out of plain meat. It is a very cheap meal, very inexpensive meal.
It is a salted leftover too. It's a big hot dog.
It's a big hot dog. Oh my goodness. Anyway, so yeah, that's what's for dinner tonight. That and new potatoes. And veggies. We're going to have French green beans. So, yeah.
Giant wiener.
It's a giant wiener, yes. Patrick. Oh, don't give it any more class than that, Patrick, please.
Yeah.
It is not what I would call high epicure, if you know what I mean.
I grew up on
bologna sandwiches. Yeah. Didn't we all? If you were born in the 60s, we all grew up in it. Hi, Iris and Aileen Miller. Send your bad weather back here. Or send your weather. It's going to be 54 in Idaho tomorrow. Seems Mother Nature has forgotten us. Oh my.
Karen John's like, yep, I'm there.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, we have it. We affectionately refer to it as Newfie steak here. So, gourmet bologna, absolutely. Fried bologna with scrambled eggs. We used to have that when we were kids. Yeah. But yeah, bologna is an odd one. Yay, YouTube. Thanks, Renee. There you go.
Yeah, we're all good.
So we're going to have a little bit of fun today. Probably be a few laughs because I have made more mistakes painting this piece than I care to admit. So,
gourmet bologna.
Yep. So we are going to have fun. Just before we get started on this, I do have a couple of things I got to tell you about. The backlog of shipments going to the U.S. is finally easing. So we are getting, we only have one more bag to go out. So that's it. All of the giveaways from the 12 Days Christmas are officially in the mail. So if you're missing one, you'll know what it is because it's got Happy Mail written in bright pink on the box. So those have all gone out. We've also cleared out most of the giveaways that were backed up from the mail strike and all of that. So we've got a lot of stuff going out this week. Plus, I actually had some time to send out some Just Because packages. So that was nice. So those actually went out today. So we only have one more bag of stuff to go out, which will all be going out on Monday. So
fried bologna brings back memories of Saturday nights and rushing to watch Hockey Night in
Canada.
Canada.
Isn't that the truth? That and mac and cheese.
Yes.
Fried bologna with mac and cheese. KD, as a matter of fact. Well, not when I was a kid because we didn't have KD, but for you guys we did. And Hockey Night in Canada.
Mac and cheese.
Yep.
Just call it mac and cheese.
See, the nice part is that we would get to watch Topo Chico. We had our one glass of pop when we were kids. And we had our dinner. And then we would have our little bowl of chips. And we would get to stay up late to watch Topo Chico. And then came the 12. Then came Hockey Night in Canada. And then it was off to bed for us. But that's how Saturday night went for us.
Oh, gag? What?
What? Oh, I know. Yes, I'd be happy to show the seminar designs today. I just happen to have them close. I thought I did anyway.
They were there.
Yep, here it is. I knew I had them. So I've got, and the other one is right behind me here.
Oh, the sandpiper?
The sandpiper. These are the seminar pieces that I'm doing with, oh, my brain just shut off again. The Tidewater Decorative Painters. Hell, my brain is something else today.
Can I zoom in on the sandpiper?
Well, I'm going to take it off the wall in just a sec. But we are doing two classes. We are doing this one, which is the mixed media version of the Birds of Paradise. What is with my
Wait a minute.
today?
The Birds of Paradise, that is the first live you ever did.
No, it isn't.
No?
No. Nope, the first live I ever did was the Daisies.
Oh, I'm pretty sure it was Birds of Paradise.
No. Oh, I did that one on a 6x6 like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And can you put the top down?
Sure.
Get this down without breaking anything. Okay. And this is the Sandpiper Bed and Breakfast. This is the other one that we're doing with the Tidewater Decorative Painters. I really love this one. They got 4 inches of snow in Atlanta. Oh, that's funny. But yeah, this one is really a lot of fun to do. Some of the details in it don't really show up on camera. But the background is heavily distressed with 2 shades of dark blue, and it's quite pretty. So we're doing the Sandpiper Bed and Breakfast.
Really, babe?
And
Yes. We will go. Jeez, you brat.
this one is the mixed media Birds of Paradise. We're doing both of these classes with the Tidewater Decorative Painters. If you want more information, you can go to my website where it says Zoom classes in the top menu, and the contact information, etc., is in there. So if you're interested in taking that workshop, you can get the information you need right there. Goodness, see if I can get this back up without, destroying the place. I really love the Sandpiper one. It's so pretty. So this is the piece that we're doing today. Another one, I just love this little guy. Now, some of you have painted the mate, the Easter one. This is variation on the bunny. I love the slouchy bunny and the lazy bunny that I did for Easter a couple of years ago. And I used that image, that slouchy type character, to do this little guy because I just love him. This one's a little different. I love the ears. I love the way he's sitting. And so he is a very fun piece to paint. So this is what we're going to be doing today. And this is done on a 6x10 tag. It could be done and enlarged to fit almost any surface, and it would actually look really cute on an 8x10 as well. So it's not a difficult one to do. And I think you'll really enjoy it. I had a lot of fun painting this one. I just happen to think it's so super cute for Valentine's Day. It could big pink bow on it and hang it on the front door for the holiday, for the day. So to get started on this one, what we are using is, again, this 6x10 tag. I've put a base coat down of 2 light coats of wild berry. I love that pink. It's got a nice rustic feel to it, and it just works. Now, the stencil that I used in the original one is a number 5 Sashiko stencil. Unfortunately, I'm having a hard time getting new ones in, getting more of them in. So, and I officially sold out of them. So I'm using this one, which is the one I also recommended in the pattern. And this is an M square 22. This is a 1/4 inch polka dot stencil. I love polka dots. Polka dots work for me. They're fun. And you can't ever be angry when you've got polka dots. I even have polka dots on my bedding. I love polka dots. Polka dots are happy. So I'm going to tape my stencil in place just so it doesn't move around. And I'm going to grab a stencil brush. I'm using a 1/2 inch Dynasty Stencil Pro stencil brush. That's this one here, the red handle. I love these. And we're going to do this with a very light touch. We don't want fully opaque polka dots. So I'm going to load my brush up with a little bit of warm white. And I'm going to very lightly apply this color in a circular fashion and change directions frequently. We want soft polka dots, not necessarily fully opaque. Fully opaque would make them very hard to distress, and they will become very, 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 very bright. Don't want that either. We want them soft and indistinct because we are going to wear these down even more. So save yourself a little elbow grease and just do them quite lightly. So I've just got a light application. They are not fully opaque. What was that? Hi, Diane. This piece is so cute. Needs some cute nowadays. I totally agree. We all need a little bit of cute. Life is just too stressful these days. Every day it's something. So, perfect time to head to the studio and just create.
How long is it going to take you to get paint on that new watch?
I didn't even think of that.
Brand spanking new watch.
Yeah, look at this. Beautiful watch, isn't it? Renee's hobby is building watches. And he made this one for me for my birthday. Beautiful watch. Very schmexy. I can promise you that by the end of the day, it'll likely have some
paint on it.
Some paint somewhere on the catch or wherever. There'll be something. Every article.
I expect nothing less. Can you at least make it Bahama blue to match?
I can try. Bahama blue, in case you're wondering, that's the color. I love Bahama blue. It's my favorite decor color aside from Ashbaltum. Okay. So that's looking pretty good. Nice soft polka dots.
Okay, I gotta go.
You gotta go take the puppy out.
I gotta take this dog out and burn some energy. Holy. You have brown eyes, you know that, right? Not just black all the time.
Yep. Miss Mays is full of energy this morning. And she does not like super cold weather, so she has not wanted to go out. Even when she had to go out to do her business, she was all business. Like, get out, do the thing, and then get back in the house, because she does not like cold weather. Yes, Patrick, that code did expire. I'll put a new one up. There we go. So lots and lots of polka dots. Patrick, you can go to the members page on Facebook and get your members coupon from the featured section. Oh my God, that dog is just too much for TV. No, I've had so many issues trying to get anything done on YouTube this week, and even today, it took us a little while to get on, and I could not get that video uploaded for the class, but I'm going to keep trying. I may have to change the file. We'll see. It's driving me crazy. For my members, your live class is this coming Thursday at the usual time, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard. Oh. There we go. There's nothing quite like polka dots to put a smile on your face. Oh, there's Sandy Scales. Hello, Sandy. And Val Man, hello. Yeah, YouTube has just been kind of funny. I've had trouble with it all week. I've got like 3 videos I'm supposed to upload, but I'm having a hard time getting them up. So 2 aren't really important, but a couple are. Toe touches to loosen your back, pulled everything around my, oh no. Lucy. Or is that Cheryl? Cheryl, oh my goodness. Everybody seems to be breaking themselves these days. They're either down with the flu or some kind of infection or, goodness. It's been a tough year for some of you. Good morning, Puddin'. Miss Deb is there. To my Canadians, go check out Deb's website. It looks awesome. And she's also, if you're Canadian and you can't get any of my surfaces, Deb makes them for me, so you can find them on her site too. Goodness. So there we have it. We have little white polka dots all over the place. Now we're going to sand these really lightly. The thing about using a stencil is that at times you can feel there's a little bit of a ridge. Oh, I'm sorry, Drew. For a second, I just saw you on there. I thought maybe you had hurt yourself again. But good heavens. And Cheryl. There we go. Look at that. So now we have lightly distressed. I'm going to wipe the dust off. I love that wild berry. It's such a pretty color. Oh, there's Linda. Hi, Linda. And our Judy Thacker had a birthday this week too. My goodness, we had lots of cool people had birthdays this week. How are things in frozen Winnipeg? And Marilyn McBay, hello, sweetie. Frigid Hamilton, Ontario. Oh my son. Our cute little bear. I had hooked into a head cold last week, and it's finally going away. Finally. But it messed with my asthma. And, it's just so many things that are knocking people flat these days. And Kathy. And Cindy Nazazon had to watch my grands in North Carolina playing in the snow. Oh my goodness. I suppose for some areas you're not used to getting any amount of snow. We've had snow almost every day this week. But just small amounts, a couple of centimeters here and there. Nothing horrid. So I'm going to position my line drawing on this tag like so. And I'm going to use the tape to position it. I don't like it to move, so. And I'm going to use a white graphite. And there we are. Is Taz doing well? Taz is a holy terror. She is so stinking cute. I get stalked every morning. She is just the sweetest thing. She sits in my lap at night, likes to curl up with me at night on my chair. Just a moment. I got a photo of her stalking me the other day, which I thought was hilarious. It's Miss Taz. She's put on a little bit of weight. I think she's about 3/4 of a pound now. She's still quite small and very dainty, but she has settled in so well. Ari was sort of the last one to accept her, but now they're chasing each other around the house. And Gizmo has been tackled by her on numerous occasions. And even Maze stole her ball from her the other day and then walked across the room and dropped it and then watched her as the cat chased it. And it's just like, it's hilarious to watch Maze with this little kitten because the kitten scares her. So it's priceless. Such fun to watch her adapt to a house full of critters. But she is very sweet and very busy. Oh yeah, we got to watch very carefully because she's so small compared to the other cats. I mean, she weighs about 3/4 of a pound. When she wants to be picked up, she literally sinks her claws into my leg, stretches out full length, and then tries to climb my leg when she wants up. She's a little Dickens, but oh, she's so much fun. And she is very sweet. So she's going to be very entertaining for the next little while. She's very, very busy. But so cute. She hops into bed with me. Last night I was literally a jungle gym. She climbed all over me before bedtime and chased fingers and toes, and she's busy. But she is very sweet. Too cute. It's amazing that you forget. I mean, we have cats, but you forget how busy they are and how small they are. I always figured Ari was tiny compared to Gizmo, and then this little devil comes into the house and Ari looks huge and Gizmo looks massive compared to this little thing. So it was surprising, to say the least, to see how small she is, to really see the comparison. But she's so stinking cute. And we're starting to see more of her personality evolve. and she's a little spitfire. And she literally puts the run to Great Big Malinois, which is hilarious to watch. Oh, yeah, the funny part, Donna, is that now her and Ari chase each other. They were chasing each other around the dining room the other day, through the middle of the dining room table, and you know, mine is sort of elevated. It has a platform underneath, you know, to store things, and they were, you know, passing through there from chair to chair and chasing each other around the dining room and through the kitchen, and yeah, it's entertaining, to say the least. So everything's sort of settling into a normal routine again. Yes, Patrick, we do have a gift for finding the ones with a lot of life. I know when we picked her up, she was very, very shy and very quiet and very cautious. And it didn't take very long for her to realize that she was perfectly safe here. And that, you know, she kind of had the run of the place. First couple of days, she wouldn't leave the living room. And now, she's hell-bent for election all over the house. So nothing is sacred. For these roses, you don't have to worry about the details in them. You can put them on afterwards because you're just going to base coat them a solid color. So you don't have to worry about all those little details inside the roses. Just the leaves, you know, the swirls and things like that are okay, but you don't worry about all of the little details inside the flower. It's going to show you how to do that because they're pretty simple, really. Here we are. We're almost done with this part anyway. This is always the longest part to me. You know, the boring part. The prep is always the boring part. Getting things ready to actually sit down and paint is the boring part. So I'm working on a video about brushes. I've had a lot of people ask me about brushes, so I'm working on a video about that. Just a little bit of brush education. And then hopefully we're going to have some technique sheets and things like that for you to download and whatnot. So we've got a bunch of stuff coming up. My membership is going to be a little surprised this week when they see their project for the next 3 months. You're going to be busy. We have a very large project for the membership this time around, and it's going to be a big one. Why am I missing? Oh, my stars. Here we go. Okay. Now I'm just double checking things. Make sure I got everything. Unfortunately, this is the same line drawing I used the last time, so I can't tell where I've been because I got red ink everywhere. Okay, I'm going to make a little change to the dot over the I. Just a little change. I should have done it earlier and didn't. So, okay, we've got our line drawing on. So there we are. We've got a teddy bear on there. Excellent, excellent, excellent. We've been trying to, thanks for that, Linda. We've been trying to expedite shipping because the issues between the border, mail strikes, and delays, backlogs, and whatnot. Shipping has been horrendous lately. So we've been trying a variety of things to try and expedite things a little bit. Not always easy. Okay. So the first thing we're going to do is a little bit of shading in and around some of this. We want a deeper shadow around the teddy bear because he's leaning this way, so he's blocking the light. So we're going to have a nice little bit of shadow back here. So I like doing my shading first because when we're painting, if there's any areas where it went over the lettering or went over this, we can clean those up right away. So I'm going to find my 1-inch angled shader. And the color we're going to use for that shading is this one. It's Cranberry Wine. Ooh, a treasure box. What a great idea. Yeah, the design itself is easily translated to a variety of surfaces. It's not something that you have to do it strictly on this. For these lives, I try to keep on a smaller surface simply because we've got a limited amount of space to show you how to do things. So I tend to gravitate towards a smaller surface. So, you know, anything really big is a bit cumbersome to deal with underneath the cameras. So I don't like to, not to mention, I'm trying to keep surfaces simple. Especially right now, things are so difficult to get, so difficult to find, and they cost the earth to ship them anywhere. So trying to keep the cost of your surfaces reasonable is sometimes a bit of a job. So between making them easy to get and making them affordable. So, because, you know, we're not all made of money anymore. There we go. And times are difficult and uncertain, so kind of have to keep things simple. So here we go. I'm putting a float of that cranberry wine around the outside edge of our piece. Nice soft float. Doesn't have to be perfect. We're not looking for a bar. We just want to deepen the edge a little bit. Carolyn Edwards, hello. Almost missed you. And I know, Donna, I love cranberry wine too. And Patsy Justice, hi Patsy. And Joan Schoen, hello. Nice to have everybody here. So, you know, just a nice little shadow. It's so much easier to do this before you start base coating everything. And cranberry wine, it's a nice transparent, deep red. So it looks really good over this wild berry. I love it over this wild berry. It's a good color. Yes, Nancy, I know exactly what you mean. A lot of the time the shipping is more than what you've purchased. And we're trying to mitigate that as much as we possibly can, but, you know, we only have so much control over it. That's the sad part. And the same with, you know, additional charges and whatnot after the fact. We're trying to keep that as low as possible too. And that, you know, it's not always something we can do. but we try. So there we go. We've got nice little shadow under our bear. Look at that. So now we've got that nice little shadow on that one side, and we're going to dry it. I just think this is a super cute piece. Curly, the background color is called Wild Berry. Hi, Sharon. Nice to have you with us. And good morning, Marion. Oh, a white bear with the pinks. That would be super cute. And Debbie Matthews. Hi, honey. It has been a minute. I hope you're well. There we go. So there we go. We've got all that shading in already. And we're going to start with base coating our bear. And I learned something while I was base coating this one. I ended up using two colors because I got very frustrated with one. So I slipped to another, but I didn't, that wasn't giving me the tone that I wanted. So I've got a little bit of warm white here. And, oops, goodness. Dropped my brush. I'm going to thin out some warm white. And I'm going to fill the inside of the ears with just a light coat of warm white. It doesn't have to be perfect. We're just going to block some of that red. And we're going to do the same thing to the pads on the feet and to those toes. I had the devil's own time getting this wild berry colored with the pink that I chose. Because of course I chose something that was very, very light. And it just didn't look good. So I ended up going back in and putting in a little bit of warm white. Because I just didn't like how it was looking. So I did the ears and I did the bow as well. Now the bow you've got to take a little more care with. But just like this, I found that the lighter pink that I was using just did not look great over top of that wild berry. It just looked very patchy. It didn't hurt the color any, but it just didn't look nice. So I'm going to put a little bit of warm white there as well. And I'm going to come over here to the nose and do the same thing. Because I'm using a red, a particular red, on that nose. Ta-da! Oops. There we go. And then I'm going to do the same thing for these roses because, again, I found the color looked really blotchy. And I would prefer to have one light coat of warm white. It helps make the color brighter, for one. And it cuts the interference of the color underneath. Sometimes, depending on the color, your base color can affect your top color, and not always in a good way. Hi, Lindholm. What did I miss? We kept losing the internet sporadically during the week. I had trouble with it on Monday and again on Tuesday night and again on Wednesday. Wednesday we had all kinds of issues. Could not get the cameras to work. The internet was cutting in and out. It was just, some days it's just not worth the effort, I think. So, little toe beans. Don't forget the toe beans. Figured you might as well paint the toe beans the same color. Right? There we go. So, all of those things that are going to get that bright pink, I've put down a nice base of white, just a little bit. Linda Sharp. Hello, sweetie. It's nice to see you. Well, not see you, but you know what I mean. Oh, yep, the second tail on the bow. Nicely spotted. Thank you, Karen. I knew I was missing something. Couldn't make it through the whole thing without messing it up. That's just been my week. There we go. As I said, it's just enough to interfere with it. Almost. So initially the color that I used for the bear was going to be salted caramel. And I discovered something. Salted caramel is very transparent. Really didn't like the pink. So I switched over to honey brown. Honey brown is a great color. It's certainly a lot less transparent than the salted caramel. So I'm going to put probably 1 or 2 coats of that honey brown on here. Now, whenever I'm base coating, I try to follow the shape of the area that I'm painting. So if they had curves one way, I follow that curve. It just makes it easier in the end to cover up any little foibles that you may have, you know, brush marks and whatnot. So we'll paint that in following the shape of the bear. Ta-da. So that's what I'm going to use for this teddy bear. And I like, as I said, follow the shape of the area that you're painting. It does make things a whole lot simpler for you in the end. And this little bear is, I had based it on a bunny that I had done a couple of years ago for Easter. I just really liked that sort of half stuffed. Hi, Deb. Yes, absolutely. You could put a base coat of warm white on the bear if you want to. When I used the salted caramel, it was really not a great color choice to go over top of this pink. I really wanted that tone though, so I was going to show you how I got the tone, but use something a little bit better to get it. Love the tone of salted caramel. It has that deep golden look that I really love. So we are going to use that salted caramel, but you're going to see how I'm using it. I haven't done a teddy bear in quite a while, and I do love them. I have quite a collection of them. I have been collecting teddy bears since the early 80s. And although I haven't added too many in the last 5 or 6 years, I've been very selective about the ones that I have added. I have one that was made out of a fur coat that I absolutely love. I have one that I got as a teenager while I was traveling in Eastern Europe. Her name is Mishka, which for those of you who've done know anything about the Russian culture, Mishka means bear, little bear, and she was the mascot of the Olympics in 1980, which is going back a few years. But I have a little Mishka. I've had her for a while. I probably have 25 or 30 of those little Beanie Baby bears. I have lots of those. I think at last count I had about 210 bears. And typically I decorate under my tree and around my tree with them. But the last couple of years I haven't done that because maize. And as it was, somebody had I got the cutest little winter bear added this year, and Mace kept wanting to get the teddy bear, and we wouldn't let her have it. So. But she was very good. She didn't destroy anything. So usually 2 coats. I mean, this is covering okay. You can still see a lot of the last teddy bear I did. I think the last teddy bear I did was one of the rack pieces. I haven't done a teddy bear in a very long time. Okay. So I'm going to switch to a smaller brush. I'm going to put a second coat on this part here, though. Yeah, 2 coats will do it nicely, because you're going to see shortly. Honey brown is not a fully opaque color, but it does cover better than a lot of these golden tones. It's the high yellow content in them that makes them so hard to cover a lot of the time, these golden browns. But this one looks pretty good. There we go. He is cute, though, I have to say. So I'm going to switch to a rigger. You can do this with a smaller round or a rigger. I like the rigger for this. Yeah, Mishka is a favorite. Interesting that you and I were both in Europe. Well, you lived there, but I was there at that time. I did a lot of traveling in the 80s. Well, at the time, I lived about 20 minutes from the city of Strasbourg. So it was easy traveling then. It's not as easy now. Oh, YouTube has been a little problematic all week. At least for me, trying to upload things and whatnot, it's been a struggle all week. So some days, I think we had another one of those solar storms, because it just messed with everything. Okay, so I'm using the smaller brush to get in and around all of these little details here. I love this color, but it, no matter what color you're putting it over, it doesn't give you that first coat coverage, if you know what I mean. you need to put a couple of coats on, which is fine. It goes on easy. And I find that following the shape of the space that you're painting, it allows you to cover things a little bit better, even with one or two coats. So, not too bad. And I love riggers for these little tight spots, if you know what I mean. Because you can use the brush on the chisel edge, or you could press down on it and get a wider coverage. So it makes it so much simpler to fill in these little tiny spaces, because you can put a fair amount of paint in the brush and then follow the shape of where you're painting, and you get much nicer coverage. Look at that. Teddy bear, starting to look good. Nancy, I almost always use a little bit of glaze in my paint. Just helps it level so you get fewer brush marks. But I don't thin it heavily. So now that I've got the face and whatnot in here, I'm just going to quickly put a coat of that honey brown over everything here. I can still see the details of my bear right through that coat. Like, I can see where the lines are, so that's fine. And then I want to put a coat on the face, on the muzzle here. Quick and easy. I was playing with my design tablet the other day and discovered that there's all kinds of fun things I can do with that, utilizing things that I've designed before, so it's fun. Hi, Norma. Cold in Florida. And Kay Reynolds, hello. And talking about names, both my sister and I were named after movie actors or characters. My family is very big into movies and TVs and whatnot, and we're the same. I was named, believe it or not, after Dick Tracy. It was a favorite when I was little. So I'm named after Dick Tracy, and it is spelled the same, Tracy. And my kid's sister, I can't remember the actor, but it was some like 1940s, 1950s actor that my parents both loved. So she is named Treva. Me and my daughter Katina. Oh, pretty. And Sky Matthews, hello. And Sharon Cook. Hi, Sharon. Sharon's been busy. She's been doing these really cute things. Makes me wish I had time to paint some of them. They're adorable. Okay, so we have a nice coat of honey brown on our bear. And I'm going to take a little bit of salted caramel. I love this color. It has that nice golden hue to it. There's a richness to that color. And we're going to make that part of this bear. So I'm going to use my big round, and I'm going to thin out, just with a little water or glaze, a little bit of that salted caramel. I love this color. And we're just going to put a light coat of that over top of all of that honey brown. I just find that this gives everything a richness. It was a bugger to cover anything with it. So that's why I went to the honey brown. But that's the tone that I wanted. I wanted that warmer, more sunny tone to my teddy bear. That golden tone. So I'm just putting literally a wash of this color over all of it. Just that I get that tone, that rich golden tone. I love it. For me, this salted caramel is very much like asphaltum. I use it more as a toner than a base color. And that's essentially what I'm using it for here. So it's very thin. I'm not too worried about the eyes. Those are going to be all filled in shortly. Look at that. See that nice rich tone? Our bear changes immediately. So yes, we need that golden tone over all of it. Wherever you have honey brown, you're going to put just a wash of that salted caramel. It's going to look a little rough for a bit. That's okay. Tone, tone, tone. It's all about the tone. There we go. Whoops. Oh. And as I said, it's just a wash. It's just a light, thin application of that thinned salted caramel over top of that honey brown. And again, doesn't have to be perfect. It's just a wash. But it's amazing to me that how much a wash does for a piece. So look at that. We have a nice golden bear. And he's going to change yet again in just a little while. I love that tone. Gets it a little nicer. Summer. Oh my goodness, yeah. Crew. Oh, there's Faye. Well, when I named my kids, we had the conundrum of finding a name that was easy to say in both French and English, that was still in keeping with the French language. Oddly enough, I'm the one that came up with the names, and they had to mean something. My daughter's name, Dominique, means child of God, and my son's name, René, is from King Richard. So I really loved, that whole thing. So they're very typical names. Their full names are quite a mouthful. So if I say this the way it's meant to be said, René Charles Emile Moreau. Yes, Cindy, you did mention that. Good heavens. And then my daughter's name is Marie Dominique Claire Moreau. So they have very French names. And that was, my choice. I wanted them to have very French names. So there we have them. They're a mouthful when you have to say it all at once, but the French names are very easy. So we're going to base the pads, the bow, and those inside of those ears with this color. It's baby pink. I wanted a nice soft pink to start. So we're going to use baby pink. I'll clean out my brush. I think I'm going to switch to a smaller round. There it is. Just makes things a little easier. I love baby pink, if I can say I love a pink. I like it for a couple of reasons. One, it's a very delicate pink, but it's also very opaque. So it makes it easy to base coat those paws. And get nice coverage. And this is the longest part, just getting these in, and then we're going to start with some really fun techniques. I'm using that same pink to paint those roses, even though they don't look like it, but they will be. So, small round to paint those toe beans. Look how stinking cute are these. It's a nice pink. It's a very nice pink. Now, one color that I do not use much, that I see actually being used quite a bit by a lot of designers, I get very frustrated by reds. I love red. It's one of my favorite colors ever, but I get very frustrated with certain reds because I find they just don't cover well. So a lot of the time, I don't use them for base coating. I will use them for other things, whether it's tinting things or putting a glaze over top of something. And in this case, this is the color that I have always found frustrates the Jesus out of me, is Cinnamon Drop. It is a gorgeous red, an absolutely gorgeous red. It's a blue red, so it's got it leans toward the cooler part of the color wheel. This is it here, but it's such a pretty tone. So we're going to be using Cinnamon Drop. Now, ordinarily, I use it for shading other reds. In this particular case, I'm using it as the base coat for the nose, because I want a nice, deep, rich, pinkish red. This one has that really nice tone. I put the base of a little bit of warm white over the pink, over that wild berry for the nose. And I'm going to put one coat of Cinnamon Drop on the nose. Ta-da! What did I do with that other round brush? There it is. And since I'm here, I'm going to put a coat of warm white on this heart. Should have done it earlier, just blanked. Now, whenever I'm designing something, I like to move color around. So if I've used it in one location, it has to be used in another, just for the sake of continuity. It drives me crazy when I go to paint something and I have a tiny little dot of a color and it's not used anywhere else. So I've tried to avoid that whenever possible. I really needed a very bright red for this, and I wanted it to work with these pinks, so I chose Cinnamon Drop. And I think it works quite well for this. But again, I want to avoid that sort of patchy look, so I'm going to put a little bit of warm white down. Now, for that nose, the technique we're going to use is this. I want this to kind of look like stitchery, as if the nose has been embroidered. So we're going to play with 4 colors to do this. So it's kind of fun. So we've got toe beans done. And then while that's drying, I'm going to come up here and do the inside of the ears with that baby pink. And this is where you take a little care putting your color down so that you get nice crisp edges. Nice clean edges. It makes for nice little ears. There we go. I've also used a lot of bubblegum pink in this one. I love bubblegum pink. I'm going to make sure that's good and dry. Da, da, da. Easy peasy. This little bear is going to work up quickly. So, a little bit of baby pink for the bow. Now, if you want a darker pink, you can use the bubble gum for this. I've done it both ways, and I think either one is cute. Either way, you're going to be using the bubblegum pink in the bow. It's either going to be a shading color or the base color. But either way, it's all going to work. And one coat of this baby pink works beautifully. Like so. We are going to base the inside of that bow, those 2 little loops there, with cinnamon drop. Again, it's about carrying color around a piece. It has there's a couple of reasons. One, aesthetically it works very well. That's one. But 2, it also helps you maintain a limited palette. I think a lot of the time we get a little carried away and we end up with 26 colors in the color list. I prefer a smaller color palette. You have a lot more control with a smaller color palette, especially if you take a little care when you're selecting it. So I'm going to take a little bit of that cinnamon drop and I'm going to paint the inside of the bow. Right there. Like so. Those little teardrop shapes inside the bow make a world of difference. Smaller palette is so much easier to control. One of my favorite decorative painters has always been Betty Caveness. Her pieces are beautiful. But the one thing that always frustrated me was she had such an immense color palette. But I absolutely loved her work, love her designs. Limited color palettes. I don't use 10 times, like brushes. I don't use 500 brushes either. Oh, I know. I have, well, and a part of it too was that designers were paid based on how much, how many colors they were used. And a lot of those payment programs for designers were, there was a requirement to use a certain number of colors. So it was hard. And especially when I'm a bit of a minimalist when it comes to color, I prefer to use, and I tend to do this quite a lot, I'll brush mix colors as I'm going. For me, this one's got quite a few colors, even for me. And I think we're at 10, which is more than I generally like to use. So, but yes, I understand the frustration of having a palette with 35 colors in it. I get it. So mine tend to be limited, and if I can brush mix the color, then I will. I just find it frustrating to have so many colors, and I mean I think I have every decor color going. I know I've got at least 220, but honestly, I use a very limited palette. If you go and look through any of my patterns, you'll see that my color palette tends to be a little bit repetitious. I tend to gravitate to certain greens and certain reds, and then I use those continuously. So I get frustrated with palettes that are massive. So this is dry. I'm going to come in with my, love this color. It's just so pretty, especially for a Valentine piece. It needs to be pretty. It needs to be a good red. You need something with that oomph, And this one is going to have oomph. The other cool thing is we're going to glitter this heart. I'm going to show you how to put a nice little bit of sparkle on it without burying all of your paintwork, because that can be hard. So there we go. Betty Caithness's work, she was just beautiful. She's Delta. I've been an Americana girl since day one. Although I had some folk art colors, the area that I was living in, we didn't have a lot of paints to choose from. A lot of the places only had, one or two paint brands. And the one that the shop where I bought most of my materials stocked folk art, and they stocked deco art. Do I have a code for the brush guys? I do indeed. It's Tracy M. If you are shopping for brushes on the Brush Guys, use the coupon code Tracy M. Capital T R A C Y capital M. Da, da, da. So now we have a heart. Now we're going to have some fun. This is always the longest part of this. Okay. But it's such a cute piece. Even I say that because I was one of those things. Am I going to glitter this up? Yes, Kay. This heart's going to be covered in glitter. Just like that. It's all sparkly. That's why I have to do something small, because Renee hates glitter. So we have a teddy bear, and our teddy bear needs to have a little bit of texture. So I'm going to use a little piece of drywall tape. We're just going to give him a little bit of texture. And I'm going to use a small stencil brush. And I'm going to use a little bit of almondine, which is sort of a brownish white, like an antique white. And I'm going to be as sparing as I can with this. You just want a light texture on it. ever get paint out of this bottle. There we go. I don't need a lot of it because we're going to put a little texture on. You want this brush almost dry. I don't want to have a gobs of paint on this. So it's a very light touch, very light, little bit of circular fashion. And I want to bring some of that texture in and around the eyes a little bit. But just a little. And then you're going to, I need my scissors to do this, to lift up that drywall tape. We just want a little bit of texture. You see that? And then we're going to do a little more on the other side of the head. And again, I want a little bit around those eyes. Just a little. I don't want this to be really heavy. It's meant to be just a light texture, just to give him a little interest. That's all. Okay. There we go. So he's got a little bit of texture on the top of the head, just like that. See how it's come down a little bit? Doesn't have to be heavy. We're going to do a little bit at the top of the hand, right here. Again, keep it light. We don't want this fully opaque. We just want a light texture on the top of the hand. We're going to do the same thing to the leg. I love drywall tape for this. I find that it just makes such a cute texture. Top of the paws. Make sure I've got, there we are. And then we're going to do the same thing to the belly. Just like that. Now, I know you can't see it on here, but I can. I can see the top of the belly, the line there. So that's where I'm going to focus the lightest part of this. It's just at the top of the belly. If it gets a little too bright, you can put a light wash of the salted caramel. Sorry, my brain just wouldn't go there. You can put a light wash of the salted caramel over top of it just to tone it down a little bit. And this stuff is sticky. There we go. So our little bear has a little bit of texture on his tummy and on the top of his hands and on his legs. We need a little bit there. Having the devil's own time getting this off of here today. Any other time it would decide to take off and go its own way. You know, or wouldn't stick at all. There we go. So we've got some on the top of the paw here. We've got a little bit on the belly. We have a nice little bit at the top of the head. So we have texture on our bear. Like, how cute is he? Really? Now, for the paws, paw pads and ears, we're going to use, and you could do this with the drywall tape if you don't have or can't find a stencil to do this with, but I'm going to use a 1/8 polka dot stencil for that. I like the polka dots. I sort of, in hindsight, wish I had done the original one with polka dots in the background because I actually prefer the polka dots. So inside the ears, I'm just trying to get this so that I get more dots in the ears. There we go. So I'm going to pick up a little bit of warm white. And I'm going to put some white polka dots on the ears. Inside the ears. And we're going to do the feet as well. I love to see lots of polka dots on the feet. So there we go. And if you go off onto the background, it's going to be an easy fix. We'll just use the chisel edge of a brush to take it off. Like, how cute is that? Polka dots on paws. Gotta love it. Easy peasy. And I'm going to show you a quick way to clean up if you manage to go over the edge like I did. So you can see some of your polka dots have gone over the edge of it. You take an angled shader and get it wet, and then just use the chisel edge of the brush to scrub right up to the edge of your base coat there. Takes them right off. Wherever you have, you know, a little bit, when it starts to dry, it's a little more problematic, but you can get in there with a little more water. There we go. Easy peasy. Ta-da! So we have those cute little polka dots. Look at that. Cute little polka dots. So we're going to start shading our little bear, and I'm going to use my 3/8 angle and a little bit of asphaltum, of course. 3/8. So the first place we want to shade is down here behind that bow with a nice little float of asphaltum. And then we're going to do the same thing on the other side. Oops, I've got a little too much on there, I think, but that's okay. We'll just blend it out a little. It's a nice little shadow. And I'm going to bring the float of that across the bridge of the nose. Right there, nice soft float. And then the eyes are sort of inset, so we want to bring a nice little float like that. Remember, there's that little line around the eyes. Nice soft. So into the eye. Remember, there's that nice little float like that. It's going to give the eyes that look that they're inset a little bit. And we have a little indent there. That's why I don't bother painting it until after I do this, because I want the eye to sit well in it. So if you look, there's that little float right there. For the eye, and you're going to do the same thing on the other side. So sort of a C shape. Look at that. So it looks kind of funky until we base coat that with black. And then the eyes start to look a lot more inset this way. I love this part. Base coating is a necessary evil. That's how I look at it. I love this part of painting a piece, because this is when everything starts to come to life. When all of those little things that establish your bear or your bunny or whatever you're painting, all of those little things that make them their character and their personality show all happen at this point. When you've done all the base coating and now you start adding all of those interesting and fun little details. There we go. Look at that. He just comes to life. I can only stand to see empty places where the eyes go for so long. How cute. Here we go. I've got a gob of paint on this eye, so it's making it look rough. There we go. So I'm going to dry him really well. I'm going to really start developing the depth, developing his shape. So I need to set his ears back a little, we're going to put a little float of asphaltum right there at the base where it connects to the head. This is going to push his ears back a little bit, just a little, so that they don't look like they're stuck at the front of his head. So nice little shadow right there, and then we're going to walk it up the ear just a little bit. And it helps give the ear a little more shape, like that. He's so cute. Now I love this little indentation. When you deepen that float across the bridge of the nose, it gives his muzzle a little more shape. And then we're going to put a weak float from the top of his head, slight curve, all the way down to the bridge of his nose. So this little guy is really going to take shape nicely. So shade the bottom of his muzzle. And you're going to shade in behind that heart. This is part of his arm that you're seeing there. So a little bit in there. There we go. So now his muzzle is really starting to take shape. And our little bear is starting to come to life. We're going to do the same thing along the bottom of the paw here, where it joins the leg, where it's resting on the leg, I should say. Where's my mop? There it is. So if you struggle with getting nice soft floats, let me show you something real quick. This is an old technique, but it works really well. You can do a couple, yeah, you do hear Maze. Tick, 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 tick. So if you're struggling to get a float to be nice and soft, here's just a little tip for you. So I'm going to shade around the top of the paw here. So I'm going to take just water and I'm going to float where I'm going to put my shadow, just with water. Don't want to have a ton of it, but just a little. Okay? So you can see where the water is, right? just that little area where the water is. So then you take your brush, pick up your shading color, blend it to float, and then go right over top of that water. I didn't quite put enough paint in my brush, but it doesn't matter. But what it does is it helps your float soften and diffuse a little bit. Just having that tiny bit of water on there. So I'm going to deepen my float. And now that I've done that, I can come in with my mop because that surface is still wet. And I can soften my shading. So it having that little bit of water helps you get that nice softness. So, and it takes a little while to get floats down anyway. We all know that it takes a lot of practice to be able to do floats. But I've always found that was such a great little tip. So if you're working over a damp surface, it's going to look a little choppy. But if your surface is still damp, you can blend. So then up underneath the belly, underneath the bow. Having that little bit of dampness there will make a huge difference to how well your floats go on. So just damp, not super wet, just damp. Oopsie daisy, there we go. One of my favorite tricks. Hi, Cindy. It's an old technique, but I'll tell you, it works. If you're really struggling to get a nice soft float, having that little dampness on the surface makes such a difference. And it'll give you an element of control that you perhaps didn't have before. So I'm deepening that shadow underneath the muzzle and atop the belly, just to give it a little contrast. See, our little guy's coming along. And then we've got this little bit here. I'm going to shade the back side, just like that. Little float along the bottom. I also like to put a little float right there, just a fine one along the edge of the foot. It helps define it a little bit. And this little guy's got a shadow that goes along the inside of the leg. And we're going to put that same shadow along the edge of the foot as well. Just like that. I just want to deepen this along there. Go. So our little bear has taken shape quite nicely. So I've got a little more. I want to deepen a shadow along here. Just at the base of his muzzle here. He's just not quite standing out to me. There we go. So I've got that nice little shadow. So I'm going to dry him really well. Retarder work, so does antiquing medium. Yeah. There's so many tricks to getting really nice floats. I like using the fast dry glaze, Joe Sonia's fast dry glaze. That's my favorite. But I've also used just glazing medium. Put a layer of that down, or just water. There's a lot of different ways that you can achieve that. There we go. So I just need to deepen one shadow just on this side of his face a little bit, right here. He was just not dark enough. There we go. Look at him. So we're going to brighten some highlights now. And there's a couple of different ways you can do that. You can dry brush with these. My floating color, the shading color on this Janice is asphaltum. Now I'm going to use a little bit of that almondine, which is my highlight color. And I'm going to bring just a weak float of that across the top of the belly. And I'm going to soften it. And the top of the hand, or the paw, I guess. And I'm going to soften that. A little bit on the leg, right here. And soften that. It's one nice thing about using a limited palette is that it makes it very easy to move color around from one place to another. And you don't need to have a ton of paint on the brush to be effective. That's even better. So we've got nice little highlights popping. And I like them soft, so our little guy's really starting to take shape. So top of the muzzle, right here. Don't forget to soften. As I said, you can use, if you prefer to dry brush these highlights in, feel free. And I want to put a nice little highlight at the top of the head here. Don't quite have enough moisture in my brush. There we go. That's better. And I'm going to bring that highlight down a bit, just shy of that one, and I'm going to soften that. Little highlight at the tops of the ears. On both ears. I always found that this little highlight, as much shape as he takes throughout the process, he really starts to look dimensional when you come in with these highlights. A little bit on the front of the foot and a little bit on that top edge of the foot. There we are. It's always something you watch him just sort of pop a little bit. Dawn, the code is Tracy M. I like this mop brush. This is an older one. This one is actually made by Dynasty, but this was one of the Traditions brushes. And this one is one of my favorites. It's a super soft, very dense pony hair mop, and I just love it. I have 2 of them, and I guard them with my life. So, look how cute. So now we're going to start working on our ears. So I have a little bit of cranberry wine on my palette, and I also have a little bit of bubblegum pink. Love this color. It's just a little more electric than the baby pink. So we're going to start on these feet, and we're going to float with a little bit of that bubblegum pink. I want just a little of it. It's a thin, literally a wash of that bubblegum pink over that baby pink. It's going to give us that nice bright, and our polka dots are going to soften, but they're not going to go away. So look at that. Nice soft color. I'll do the same thing to the ears. Nice little float of bubblegum pink. It's very thin. It's just enough to brighten. There we go. And it softens those polka dots at the same time. And now we're going to make things pop. So I've got a little bit of cranberry wine, and I'm going to thin this out quite a bit because this color is pretty intense. I love it, but it's intense. And we're going to float around the outside edge of the paw prints, all those paws. And it is heavily thinned. It's going to give us a really nice, okay, come on, there we go. It's going to give us a nice rich float around the outside edges of those paws. It'll probably go a couple of times around. I don't want it too dark, so I'm trying to control how much of it goes on here. But I love this color, so may take a couple of floats around to get the depth that we want. There we go. That's better. And then we're going to dry brush the center of the paws. Oops, I ended up pulling that off, sorry. And on the toe beans, we're going to put a little float of that as well. Just a little float. I love the toe beans. I like puppy toe beans, and I love teddy bear toe beans and kitty toe beans. And I think Taz is upstairs torturing my husband. And if she's not torturing my husband, then she's torturing the cats. She tortures Maze too, but she's pretty funny. She's living up to her black cat. We had a black cat for many, many years by the name of Soot. And she was a little diva. And she was also my little studio buddy, and I really missed her since we lost her. She was just my little pal. And so I had been hemming and hawing about getting another kitty, and discussed it with my hubby, and he said, "What are you waiting for?" So I went looking for a kitty, and as luck would have it, I opened up the first ad that had a kitten, I wasn't really looking for a kitten either. I was just looking for a cat. And the very first ad that popped up was literally, 30 minutes from here. And they had the photograph was this little black cat. It was a gone goose. Yep. I was done. Took me like all of 5 minutes to decide. And then I just sort of, talked to my family and everybody was sort of on board. So I got in touch with the people that had her and we went out last Saturday, 2 Saturdays ago, and picked her up. So she's just perfect. So I'm using that cranberry wine to shade the bow, like so. There's a reason why I showed you that easy way to float, because I'm having a devil's own time today. I can't float today. I think we all have those days, but today is the day for me. My brush doesn't want to work. And floating is like breathing for me. So I'm struggling today. Okay, let's see. There we go. Okay, that's a little bit better. I've got too much water in my brush. That's part of the problem. There we are. So I'm going to take a little bit of bubblegum pink, because I love this color. And I'm going to float the edge. Oh, what have I got in there? Schmeglies. Why do I have schmeglies in my brush? Little float of bubblegum pink. And way too much water today. I'm telling you. Ever have a day? I'm having one. So yeah, I just put a little float of that bubblegum pink just to soften all of those boundaries, where the shading is. Look at that. Bubblegum pink is such a great color, especially when you're working over another pink. It's very pretty. Ta-da! So I'm going to grab my blender and I'm going to pick up a little bit of warm white on my dome blender. And I'm going to dry brush the center of the paws, like so. Oh my goodness. Apparently I don't know how to dry brush today either. I had too much paint in the brush. There we go. I like the dry brush in the center. It just softens everything, but it doesn't bury everything. Here we go. Well, that's better. Figured that out. Nice little dry brush. Cute little toe beans. So I'm going to grab a little bit of that cranberry wine, and we're going to put a nice float of that along the bottom of the heart and up the sides. So we want a nice deep float down here. Ta-da. Well, the nice thing about doing something like this, as long as your highlights butt up against your shading, you're going to get a nice result. So there goes our shadow. Remember when I said I was having trouble floating today? Oh my Lord. Some days I can't find my butt with both hands. Today I couldn't float to save my life. I'm getting there though. It's just like, good Lord. Having to work so hard to get that shadow down there. Fran, that's calling being entirely too focused on what you're doing and only halfless. I've done that. There we go. Okay, so I've got a nice little shadow. Certainly better than it was. His heart-shaped nose is going to be super cute in a minute. So I've got a nice little shadow down here. We're going to put a float of the base color that we used for this background. We're going to use Wild Berry. This is such a pretty color. It's a very muted pinkish red, and it's great for this part. So I'm going to put a highlight at the top of the heart with a float of that Wild Berry. And I'm going to walk it down a little because I want this heart to have sort of a dimensional feel. I don't want it to be flat. So, nice little float. So, look at that. So our little heart is starting to look a little more dimensional. Hi, Julie. How are you, sweetheart? So I'm going to use a little bit of warm white. Very little. Now you can do this as a float or you can do this as a dry brush, whichever you prefer. Actually, I think I'm going to dry brush it in this time around. And it's just a soft dry brush on the curve. See that top part of the heart? So we're just putting a soft dry brush in like that. And again, make your dry brush follow the shape of the top of the heart. So it's going to have that sort of arched appearance. So now we've got a really nice, soft highlight up there. And then we're going to put a final light impact point on our heart. And we're going to do it with a small round. And it's just a little comma stroke. One there and one here. So there we have our little heart is done. And then we have the one on his nose. I love this part because I think this is such a neat technique and it really does look great. I gotta find my liner brush. I need a nice fine liner. There it is. And the heart is based with that cinnamon drop. So I'm going to use bubblegum pink. And we're going to put a fine line of bubblegum pink top to bottom of the heart. just like that. It's going to have a little curve to it. So it's going to curve to the right. Just slightly. And then as those lines come down, they're going to change direction. Of course, I grabbed the one liner brush that's got a mind of its own today. Where's my other liner? Ah, there it is. Okay. Excuse me while I get the other liner brush. I have one that has, it's the nicest looking of the liners I have, but for some unknown reason it just decides to split every once in a while. And today it chose violence. There. Okay. So this is the ugliest of the liners and the only one that I have that still stays nice and straight. So as you come away from the center of the heart, you're going to curve in the other direction. And those lines just meet the edge of the heart, like so. Didn't quite have enough paint in my brush when I did these ones, so I'll just overstroke them slightly. So there's that first layer. Looks kind of messy. That's okay. Now we're going to come up to the top of those lines and we're going to pick up a little bit of warm white and I'm going to mix that with a little bit of that bubblegum pink. So essentially I'm making a lighter version of that bubblegum. And to the left side of that line and just about halfway, we're going to put a little stroke of that pink mixture right next to those lines, like so. So now we've got a highlight towards the top. See, he looks cute, but there's actually quite a bit involved in painting him. So I'm going to dry this really well. And then we're going to come and pick up our small angular shader. And we're going to pick up a tiny amount of that cranberry wine. And we're going to float the bottom of the nose with a little of that cranberry wine so that we get that little shadow at the base of the nose. So now you can see that he is starting to take shape. And then with that tiny little liner, the one you just finished using, we're going to mirror those highlights, but on the top of the nose. So one right here and one right there. Now I think it's time we gave him some eyeballs that really look alive. So I'm taking a really small amount of warm white, tiny bit, and you're going to thin it out, blend it until it's very transparent. And we're going to put a highlight at the top of this eye, like so. And on this eye, it's going to go across the top and down. Now, the reason they don't have exactly the same type of highlight is because this eye is blocked somewhat by the forehead. So the highlight is only reaching the top part of the eye in this particular case. So there we are. I want that a little bit brighter. There we go. And then you're going to take your liner brush and pick up just a dab of that white, and we're going to use 2 dots for the highlight, like this. And right on that highlight, so we got a bigger one, and then we got a little small one right next to it.
How are the peoples?
The peoples. I don't know. How are the peoples? Look at that. How cute is he? Okay. So I'm going to dry that. And of course I've smudged in those dots because it's me. But that's okay. We won't see it in a minute. Can you vamp with them while I excuse myself for a moment? I will be quick. Entertain them.
Entertain them?
Yes. I have to excuse myself for a moment.
Ah! You do you.
Okay. Keep talking. Nothing worse than dead air.
Dead air.
Hello, people. Oh, Maze is doing just fine with Taz. Speaking of... Hi. You have a ball. Can I help you? The eye's doing better. Ish. Still get a kaleidoscope when I look to the right, but still trying to figure that out. Start painting. I wouldn't know where to start. Nope. Don't know where to start. I was looking at it. Well, hello, Raffin. Oh, my voice is nothing special. That's the problem. I can't start at the beginning. It's already halfway done. She has more balls than she knows what to do with. Has Mace had her walk? Yes. Is Taz with you? No.
No. Taz is upstairs using Dad for a bed.
Again?
I think so.
Oh. They wanted me to start.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Knock yourself out.
Nope.
Okay. Thank you. Apologize for my absence. How did I... Oh, you had a question there.
What's that?
How did you get into watchmaking? I can answer that. Because it was more acceptable than taking apart all my furniture.
I've always liked tinkering with things.
Yeah.
I like taking things apart, seeing how they work. And after watching umpteen 100 hours of watch repair videos, I finally jumped in.
Yep. I'd say the results are pretty good.
It's a nice watch.
It's a beautiful watch.
I've made 8 watches.
Mm-hmm.
8.
8. Grand total of 8. He's been a busy boy.
Now I'm thinking about buying one of those like bulk order garbage pocket watch
Oh, yeah.
off eBay.
Mm-hmm.
You
And
get-
repair it.
Yeah, you get like 16 pocket watches and
Gotcha. Stuff you can work on.
yeah, some of them work, some of them don't.
Yep.
That's what I think I'm going to do next.
See if you can make them all tick.
Get the microphone in there.
There we go.
cute kitten.
Yeah. That's Tazzy.
That's Taz.
Hey, when you gotta go, you gotta go. No kidding. It seems like the older I get,
Shorter in between.
the shorter the duration is between. Time to change out my palettes. I ran out of room.
It's,
So-
it's better than saying running out of gray matter.
Yeah, well, that's going too.
Oh, isn't that what this is called? Gray matter?
Gray matter, yes.
I made jokes.
Oh, you did. Well done.
Sorry, palette camera's bugging me.
Ah, okay. There are some cool pocket watches. Yes, there are, Gail. So we have a little bit of work to do. I love the face on this little guy. I just think he's so cute. Now, I can come back in and deepen and deepen and deepen. Oh, yes, I'll give you an update on Renee's eye. They feel that it is inflammation in the muscle that controls the movement of his eye. And so they have, they're essentially all they're going to do is give him some time and then check on him in a couple of months. So far so good. It does seem to be improving somewhat, although his vision isn't tremendous. Okay, so I've got, where did my cinnamon drop? Our little guy needs some rosy cheeks. So I'm going to use a stencil brush and a small amount, very small amount of cinnamon drop. And again, the brush has to be almost dry. And we're going to put a nice soft bit of rose in his cheeks, right about there. There we are. I love that cinnamon drop. It makes such a great cheek color. Super pretty. Now, I just noticed, you know what? Do you have a day? I seem to be having a day. I had too much tea this morning. I think that's part of my problem today. Too much tea. And so I had one cheek or one jowl going too low in here. And so now I have to clean it up a little bit. But there we go. So we have our heart over here, which is now dry. I'm going to use a little bit of matte medium. And trying to find my Glamour Dust. I've got a round brush. I love this part. Anytime I can put sparkles on stuff, I'm happy. So a little bit of matte medium, and I'm going to apply it generously, but only to the shape of the heart. And I want to get as close to the edge as I can so that it's nice and tight and crisp. And I'm just putting a little bit of matte medium, spread it evenly around this heart. And then I'm going to very lightly, and when I say lightly, I'm going to tip the glitter. I don't want this to be a solid mass, so I'm just letting the glitter fall lightly because I don't want it to be. And then I'm going to tap so that it seats. And now we have a sparkly red heart. Now, once that's dry, you can, I like taking a like one of my fugly brushes to it. Yeah, he did leave the room. The matte medium, you can use Deckwart. If you're Canadian, you can get this one. It's called Demco. This one is excellent. And this company is based in Montreal. And I love the fact it's got the little maple leaf at the bottom. It's a fantastic product. So let it dry, and then you can take your fugly brush and then brush off the excess glitter from the heart. Look at that. So fun. I think it's just, you need to have a little bit of glitter. I do have like a coarse glitter in a very bright red. I could use that too, but honestly, I kind of like being able to see the shading and the highlighting on the heart, and then just that little bit of sparkle on it. I think it looks really nice. So it's time to finish our little heart, our little bow here. And I'm going to use a little bit of cranberry wine, because I'm finding, or not cranberry wine, a little bit of that cinnamon drop over top of the cranberry wine. I found it was looking a little purple, and I wanted a bit more of the red look. So I'm going to use a little cinnamon drop over top of it, and a little bit here. Wherever I put that cranberry wine, I'm going to use a little bit of thinned cinnamon drop, just because I can. It's my party. I can do what I want. But just to deepen those little creases in the bow. And then I'm going to use just a little bit of warm white, because we need a nice highlight on some of the points of this bow. So I want a little, nice little highlight right there and on the point. I couldn't float my way out of a paper bag today. There we go. Oh, goodness. Can't seem to get my water right. Okay, now I think I got it. So I'm going to take a little bit of warm white and highlight those spaces in between the creases in that bow, those little folds. I want to put a nice little highlight on the bow, along the edges. There we go. So we've got nice bright little highlights on everything. And we only have one more thing to do to this bear. And that is to break out our black gel pen. You know I love my gel pen. Now our little bear needs to have a little bit of texture at the edges. So when I'm putting in that outline, it isn't a solid line. It's a little sketchy. And I like to tuck a little stitch marks in every once in a while. It just gives him a little texture at the outside edge. And I find if it was a straight, smooth line, he looks a little plastic. He doesn't look as poofy. Whereas that sketchy line with little lines coming off of it just gives him a little something. I like the little sketchy lines. Now the fun part is you can also put those stitch marks on the bear using your gel pen. So those stitches don't have to be perfect. They don't have to be symmetrical. And we're going to use those sketchy lines around the toe beans. Like, this is fun. They don't have to be perfect. Again, keep them very loose and sketchy. They don't even have to be solid. They can just, gaps in it. That's okay. You can throw a couple of stitches in. Do the same thing around the pads. Little line, sketchy, put in a couple of stitch marks. I love the little stitch marks. It just makes for a fun piece. So they don't have to be perfect. Little stitch marks. I love the stitch marks. So all of those little areas where they connect, where they join, don't forget to put those little irregular sketch, little hash marks. And the nice thing about the gel pen is that it's super fine. It's not going to look like you took a Sharpie to it. It's a nice soft outline. It draws a little attention to the bear, helps lift him off the background, and it provides a little bit of texture at the same time. So you're not going to have this flat looking teddy bear. I love the little extra hairs that stick out. It just makes things look more interesting. Imperfections. I love the imperfections. And our little guy is almost done. Except we need stitch marks down the arm. Like so. So cute. Oops, I messed up there. There we go. I love those fine little sketchy lines. And they go around the muzzle. And you're going to put them around the nose too. Don't forget the little sketchy, the little stitch marks. Does Hobby Lobby sell the gel pens? You can actually get these off of Amazon. I stock them on the website, the black gel pens. I have the Uniball Signo. This is the same thing. It's just a Japanese version. They're ultra fine. They're a 0.38 Uniball Signo black gel. And I use them for all sorts of things, detailing things. I just love the texture they provide, the interest that they give, and I love the precision of them because they're so fine. You don't have any of these super heavy hash marks on anything. And they're just fun. Just fun. So every portion of this gets just this fun little treatment with these sketchy lines. I love that. It just gives this whole teddy bear a really rustic feel. Not to mention it's fun to do. Easy peasy. And up the side of the face. This little guy takes on the appearance of like a greeting card character. I like that sort of quasi hard-edged appearance with all the little stitch marks. Just makes him fun. So I think we've got everything. So there is our little bear. He's super cute. Oh, I forgot. So as I said, you could do him like as if he was sewn together. These are black. I'm using a black gel pen. I like the black. It gives you a nicer contrast. It's just fun. The other thing that's fun is being able to just throw in little stitch marks here and there. It does make him so freaking cute. And you can do the same thing around the heart. And again, you can do little stitch marks. Whatever makes you happy. This little guy is just cute. So there is our little bear. Like, how cute is he? So we're going to move on to these roses. I love doing these roses. These are just, they're simple. I'm a firm believer that simplicity will out. The simpler things are, the better. Life is just too complex these days. So I'm going to use bubblegum pink. And I'm going to use a nice round brush. And we're just going to paint those circles like so. One coat, bubblegum pink. These actually paint up really easy and really quickly, and you don't have to be so, you don't have to worry about these. These are easy roses to paint. And I like them. I think that they're a fun rose. And you can make them softer. You can make them very, almost cartoon-like if you want to. There's all kinds of ways you can paint these up so that they look like roses. I've seen them done just with comma strokes. You know, put a float of color in the middle and then just paint them with comma strokes. But I'm going to show you another way to do these because these are super easy. So I'm going to dry those. Easy peasy. These are one of my favorite little things to paint. These little roses. Same with the leaves. Keep it simple. Don't overthink it. I mean, this little guy is too cute for words. I think he's adorable. But that's just me. I'm allowed to toot my own horn from time to time. You fell asleep? Oh, Jess, I'm sorry, dear. I'm so sorry you're under the weather. It's awful. This time of year, to be sick at this time of year is awful. This is so cold and you can't really go out and do anything to make yourself feel better. You stay home and live. So, the leaves, I'm using, this is a new color from Decor. I'm using avocado toast. When you see the bottle, you kind of go, you know. This is called avocado toast. I love this green. It's got some chutzpah. You know, it's not a flat, dull green. Avocado sounds kind of meh, but yet this green is so pretty. It's got some life to it. It's got some zing. So I'm only going to put down one coat of this green because I'm going to be putting 2-3 greens over top of it. So one coat is all that's required. Rose, was that question for me? Do I paint at all? So I'm using one coat. Gives me those nice bright leaves. Isn't that pretty? It's a great green. It's a little on the transparent side, but because I'm going to be using so many other colors, I'm going to be using 2 other greens over top of it. This is a number 2 round. I just wanted a small brush to base coat these leaves. So I'm using a small round, number 2. So before we paint the roses, I'm going to finish out these leaves because it's simpler, because I'm going to be using some dark colors. And I've got a leaf here, and I got a little one here, and one here. There we go. So I'm going to dry this really well. We go. Now these leaves are simple to paint. We're going to use a little bit of plantation pine to shade. And we're going to use a little bit of margarita to highlight. And then we're going to outline them, and it's going to be that simple. So plantation pine, I love this color because it is transparent and it gives you such a great shading. So I'm going to shade the top of each of these leaves where they go underneath the flower. Sort of a U-shaped float so that, you know, that color comes up the side as well. Just like that. It doesn't have to be perfect. But I like to bring it up the sides. It gives the leaf a little more volume, I think is the word I'm looking for. A little more depth and a little more shape. There we go. And a little U shape on those smaller leaves as well. Because they're teeny tiny. It's just a little U-shaped float at the base of the leaf where it joins the stem. And underneath the flowers, like so. So it is kind of U-shaped because it comes along the edge of the leaf as well. So down one side, U-shape, across underneath the flower, and then up the other side. But that plantation pine just gives you such a pretty richness to these leaves. So there we are. Nice little U shape. I'm going to dry that, then we're going to float down the center vein so that we have a nice leaf shape. The interesting thing is that these leaves actually, I'm going the wrong way here. These leaves actually, oh goodness, There we are. And I need a... There we go. Goodness gracious. Told you I can't float today to save me. So from under the leaf out to the point, little float down the center vein. It's just going to give our leaves a nice little shape. Like that. There we go. So now we have center veins. It just helps give the leaves a lot of curve. Jessica, do you remember a couple of years ago I had like a double ear infection and ruptured my eardrums? I walked around for a week not being able to hear anybody. So I understand, and it's so painful. Ugh. I hate earaches. So we're going to highlight these leaves with Margarita. I love this green. Well, I usually have good days, good floating days, but today not so much. I just can't seem to get my the balance right today. So I'm going to put a float. Oh, look at this. Now I get it right. So nice little highlight. I don't know how that happened. Float down the center vein. Like, really? After all this, I get that float like dead on. Jeez. Oops. Honestly, I'm sitting here struggling all day trying to float. I must have gotten enough practice in today, because now it works. Seriously. I just got that right balance of water to paint all of a sudden. I'm telling you. There we go. The other day, I'm finishing off my membership groups project for February, March, and April, all in one go. It's such a big project that it has something like 22 pages of step outs. It's just stupid. The things I do to myself, I'm telling you. But my members are some of the hardest working painters I have ever worked with. Like, they work so hard to do some of these projects. And so I really like to make sure that they get challenged, that they can have some fun with it, and that they learn plenty from it. So I kind of got carried away this month and just, so now I ended up with like 3 months worth of projects for them because, I couldn't get stopped. So we have leaves, shaded, highlighted, and now we're going to do a little bit of detailing to the leaves before we start those flowers. So I'm going to use my liner brush and a little bit of warm white, and a little bit of margarita, and I'm going to thin it out quite a bit. I don't really want to make a lighter green, but I want a more opaque lighter green. So I'm using that mixture of warm white, and I'm going to add a nice little detail to the edges of the leaves, and then a little stroke down the center vein on the highlight side. And this just adds a little extra texture to the edges of the leaves. It's not a hard outline, it's scribbly, much like with the pen around the teddy bear. We're just using a very light, scribbly detail. I like this little detail when I'm painting leaves. I think it just softens things a little, makes the leaves a little less harsh, a little hard. And it's fun. I like that little squiggly detail around things. I think a lot of the time when we're, especially decorative painting, I used to use these types of techniques for larger projects, for doing murals and large furniture pieces. When you're doing that kind of work, especially for clientele, you can't use the hours that you would like to use to complete things. So you have to find ways of simplifying some of those design elements. And I've always found that using a soft outline has a tendency to give things a soft and more delicate look, as opposed to a hard edge. So I've always liked that softer outline because it achieves something that's hard to get otherwise, especially when you're using these types of techniques. Float, shade, highlight, things tend to look a little hard-edged. And so I've always found that using this delicate outlining makes a difference. So I'm going to... Oh, goodness. I painted my finger. Here we go. Put your little vines and tendrils in. Okay, so that's not limited to floating. Good grief. Okay, there we go. I couldn't get my liner brush to work. That's not right. There we are. Okay, so I got my little vines and tendrils in. I'm going to dry that, and then we're going to paint roses. Yeah, I managed to paint my pinky. A little too close to my liner brush. So I'm going to show you, I'm going to use a pencil to do this so that you can see where I'm putting things. I just need the graphite. There it is. So on those circles, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to go about 1/3 and put like a half moon line across my circle, like that. And then I'm going to start on that line about the same width, and I'm going to curve it this way. Do you see? And then I'm going to connect the two this way. And I'm trying to keep them roughly the same width, but not perfect. Okay? And then we're going to put a curved line across each of those corners, like so. And then another set of curved lines across those corners, like so. Now, you can continue to go and get really teeny tiny in there. It'll just get harder. But you're going to do something similar all the way across. Of course, on the smaller flowers, that triangle gets bigger. So that's how you're going to do those. Once you have those drawn in, you can use charcoal pencil, graphite pencil, watercolor pencil to do that, or you can trace the line drawing back on, whichever you want to do. So I'm going to use, what am I going to use? Cranberry wine. You're not a real painter unless you don't, if you don't finish with some paint on you. Oh, that's true. So a little bit of cranberry wine. And these are super easy because the first stage is just shading. Okay, ordinarily it's super easy because I can't float today. So on that long line, you're going to put a float of cranberry wine. Just like that. And then on the other line, you're going to do the same thing. Ta-da. And then again on that other one, like so. So now we have all those floats in, right? And then I'm going to put a float on the back of the rose right here. I'm going to bring it around to there. And I'm going to repeat that float on each layer inside the rose. So wherever there is a triangle, I'm going to float that line. Just like that. So they're going to get a little darker each time you go in. And then that final triangle is going to get another shadow. You notice that that shading is getting a little darker each time because you're floating over the first one. So now this is what we've got. So we started with bubblegum pink. So I'm going to pick up a little bit of that baby pink. Where is it? Lost my bottle. I chose pinks and reds for this to keep it in keeping with a Valentine theme. But I'm also a really huge fan of more vintage tones. I love especially that background color. I just love that wild berry. It has that nice vintage feel to it. So I've got a little bit of that baby pink. So we're going to use the baby pink to put a float opposite that shadow. Remember? Doesn't have to be perfect. And then you're going to put it on the leading edge, just tiny little float, on the leading edge of each of those triangles. Right? Don't get too caught up in the perfection of it. It doesn't need to be. So each one of those little triangles is going to get another highlight. Just a little float of that baby pink. Like so. And then I'm going to brighten it a little bit right there. So there's your highlight. Look at how they pop now. So then I'm going to grab my liner brush. A little bit of Joe Sonia. A little bit of warm white. And right in the center of that first highlight, you're going to put a fine stroke of warm white. Nice little stroke right on the edge of that first highlight. Doesn't have to be perfect. Like so. And then on the outside edge of your rose. And this is fun. We're going to do this. I'm going to put just a few little strokes of white right on the edge of the rose. and leave a little gap between them, like so. They don't need to be perfect, but right on the edge of the rose, okay? And then you're going to put another row just to the outside of the rose where the gap is. Yes, go ahead, right over the leaves. They don't have to be perfect. So this is what you end up with. So your roses look like this. You see all those loose lines? All they do is imply that there's another petal behind it. So it's a very loose technique, but it gives you such a pretty little rose. Now, if you want to, you can add a dot of yellow in the center if you like to see some stamens or something like that. That's okay too. But I really love these little strokes of white around the outside edge. And those little layers just make your rose look a little more soft. Super easy to do. Let it dry. You can erase the graphite lines later. So again, if you're more comfortable with a smaller angled shader, you can absolutely pick up a smaller one. If you're more comfortable with a 1/4 inch. I'm using a 3/8. That's about the smallest I go. So just to recap, you're going to float under each one of those little lines. Going to float, shade your flower. I love doing these. These are just a fast and easy rose. And you don't have to draw them on. I frequently just go ahead and paint. Like so. It makes for some very soft looking roses if you do it this way. Try that. These roses work up really quick. And they're super easy. Easy peasy. Oh my God, I just put my finger in the green paint. There we go. I love the fact that those little triangles are just super simple. Easy peasy. And you can shade under. So they look really rough at first until you start layering in. What yellow for a yellow bow? I would start with a mid value. I would probably go with a sunny day. And then I would use a little bit of saffron yellow because it's a deeper color to get the brightness. And then I would use either baby duck or even a little bit of sunny day mixed with white. But start with a mid value, and then for shading, you could go into an asphaltum, but it would look really nice if you used this, a little bit of that salted caramel. This one shades yellow really beautifully. gives you nice deep shadows. So you could try shading that. But yep, start with a mid-value, like a sunny day. It all depends on how bright the bow you want. But start with a mid-value, like a sunny day. Highlight with a bit of warm white, maybe a baby duck. Deepen some of your shading with a little saffron yellow, and then finish your shading with a little bit of salted caramel. So my shading on my roses is done. I'm going to grab a little bit of pink. This is such a pretty pink. That baby pink is so pretty. So a little highlight there and there. I love baby pink. Simple, simple. This is similar, sort of a modern version of Baum Mallory roses. Sort of my take on it. When I lived in Germany, the Baum Mallory roses were very popular. And they're essentially just, a solid color with a bunch of comma strokes to form the petals. This is a variation on that. The little leaf. Oh, this one here? I can do that. I take it was bothering you. I know it would bother me too. I just didn't see it. There we go. There. Sorry, Debbie. So here we go with the highlights. I love doing this because the simpler things are, the better. Use a little bit more wet. And these roses, you can't really do them wrong. Honestly. And when they're nice and loose, they look even better. That's the fun part. They don't have to be perfect. Easy peasy. And then when you're doing, as I said, you can go 1, leave a space, 2, leave a space, 3, leave a space, 4. So that when you come around to do that second layer, you've got a space and a space and a space. And it just makes these roses look pretty. Easy peasy. Whoops, a little heavy-handed there. And pretty much all we have left to do for this is the lettering. And the lettering on this, well, lettering, and then we're going to do a simple border. The lettering for this is really straightforward. I did not want to make them any more complex than they really needed to be. And so that's why I stuck with a very minimal palette. super simple. So easy roses, and they look so cute. If you want to, you can add a little bit of glitter to them. You could add a little dot of yellow in the center. And what font did I use? That's a really good question. Hang on 2 seconds and I'll tell you. Okay, here we go. The font is called Beach and Sunshine. Took me a moment. Sorry about that. But the font is called Beach and Sunshine. It's a really versatile one. You can do so many cool things with it. So we're going to use number 2 rigger, and we're going to use some warm white. These little roses are easy. I wanted something loose and colorful, and I wanted it all to tie in together. Oh, you're welcome, Linda. I saw your message earlier, but I figured I was going to cover it today. So we're going to use the number 2 rigger and a little bit of Joe Sonia. And we're just going to fill in the lettering with warm white. And if we can do it in one go, so much the better. The lettering does not have to be fully opaque. As long as the paint is even, that's the most important thing. And we're going to tuck that lettering in behind the teddy bear's head. We're almost done. Beach and Sunshine, if you are looking for a particular font, one of my favorite places is fontbundles.com. I get a lot of my fonts from them. And if you do a lot of designing and do a lot of work with various fonts, it's worth it to subscribe to that website. I think it's $7 or $8 a month. It's really not much, but I on average download anywhere from 8 to 10 new fonts every month, so it was well worth it for me. Whoa. I complained earlier of not being able to get that moisture balance done when I'm floating. Apparently I can't do it with lettering either. A good rigger is a godsend, because you can paint almost anything with it. Shoop. You might notice that there is a new clearance section on my website. Oh, goodness. And we're going to be adding some stuff to that this week. I'm just trying to clear. I've got a backlog of stuff here, so I just wanted to clear some out, give myself a little more space. We're running out of room in here. So best way to do that is to clear out some of the surfaces that we've stockpiled and patterns that we've stockpiled, because we've got so many. So we'll have some really good deals in there. Now, I made a change to this. This was sort of a, I don't know, just a blob shape for the the dot over the I, and I decided to change it to a heart. Just because I thought it was cute. That's all. No other reason. I thought it was appropriate. And it kind of was, it reminded me of a heart, but not a great heart shape. So I just changed it. So this lettering is probably going to take another coat because it's just not covering very well today. But I didn't really want it completely solid anyway because we're going to do a little bit of paintwork over top of it. But I would like it a little more opaque than that. So it doesn't look quite so streaky. I'm just not keen on the streaky thing. A little more opaque. That's better. And we'll do the B. Now, if you are handy with an X-Acto knife, you could always cut yourself a stencil. Or if you have a Cricut, you could always cut yourself a stencil for this lettering. I kind of prefer the hand-painted look myself for lettering. It's just me. Oh, I love riggers for this. Now you can put a float of cranberry wine against this lettering if you feel it's not popping out for you. I did in the first one, and then as afterthought, it didn't really need it. But, I mean, absolutely, if you want to put it in there, go right ahead. And I just used cranberry wine for my shading color. Look at my lettering. Is there a reason? No, Liz, there isn't. It's just habitual for me. I don't think of it as, when I'm painting it, I don't think of it as lettering. I think of it as yet another thing that needs to be base coated. And so it doesn't matter really where you start. For me, I think it just makes things simpler. That's all. But this is such a super cute little piece. I'm going to dry that really well, and I'm going to give it one more coat. I think that should be plenty. Ooh. Is it snowing heavy in your area, Lucy? That weather bomb that's off the coast right now is supposed to miss us. I'm kind of disappointed. I was kind of hoping it would head our way. I really want to see a lot of snow this winter. Because we normally get a fair amount of snow. In the last few years we haven't. And we got some, but we could use the runoff in the spring. I mean, we've had so many issues with water shortages this past summer. So I would really like to see lots of snow this winter. It's feast or famine. You either have lots of snow and end up with flooding and localized flooding, or we have not enough snow and then we end up with, not enough water. So 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. So personally, I'm at a high enough altitude. I'm high enough up the mountain that it doesn't matter. But I would like to see more rain, more snow, North, no, not besides. I love winter here. I love winter here. I don't miss the minus 35s of Winnipeg. I miss my friends there, but the cold, no, not so much. I mean, when I first moved here, I was, minus 25 walking around in a windbreaker. And neighbors thought we were out of our tree, but we were so used to the really cold winters that minus 17 just didn't seem to cut it, There we are. Now remember how we put the highlights on our heart and on our little roses? Everything sort of has this light, strokey feeling to it. Little freehand, little loose. We're going to do our letters the same way. So I'm going to dry this really well. And then we're going to separate our teddy bear from the lettering. And I'm going to use a little float. I need a 1/2 inch angle. Oh, So I'm going to grab a little bit of asphaltum. I'm going to thin it out quite a bit. I don't want to make this lettering any darker than it needs to be. And I'm going to put a little float of asphaltum right behind our bear. Just on the letters. And in behind the head there, just a little. So that just pushes that lettering back a little bit. Now, we've got bubblegum pink. And I've got a round brush. We're going to take a little bit of bubblegum pink. And we're going to put a blush of color on this lettering with a nice little comma stroke, just a stroke of the pink on the letter like so. So just remember to follow the shape of the letter when you're doing this, so that the bottom of the stroke follows the shape of whatever you're painting. And it's just a loose stroke. Now we want to make this lettering stand up a little bit, so we're going to go to our gel pen. And we're just going to put a thin black line on, just on the edge, on the right hand side. Very fine and right on the edge of the letter. And it just helps the lettering pop off of the background. It's not a very obvious thing. It's just a fine black line. But that little line helps make these letters stand out quite nicely. It's just enough. Inside. So that little line is what gives these letters a little bit of elevation without a big thick line. So nice fine black line just pops those letters. I forgot the heart. There it is. There we go. And then last but not least, you're going to put your scribblature at the bottom. And then we're going to put a gold border on the edge of this, and it is done. I'm going to grab my gold paint pen. Yep, that's the one. Oops. I think,
Throwing stuff.
yeah, chucking things around. So I like a little bit of bling. So I'm going to use my gold paint pen just to put a fine gold border around the edge. Oops, come on. Yep. All the way around the edge of this piece. If you want to do the whole edge, you certainly can, but I like just this little narrow border around the outside edge. Just finishes this one really nicely. You can add a nice bright pink bow or something with hearts on it and hang this on your front door for your Valentine. This is a really fun piece to paint. Love the roses, love the teddy bear.
I'm glad I wasn't here for the glitter.
Just being silly, that signature went on. Oh, Jessica yelled dibs. So, there we go. I love this little guy. I think he's super cute. Fun to paint.
The wheel.
Wowzers. That wheel is loaded today. Holy smokes. Yeah, Charmaine Bannister says you left just in time. I did the glitter after you left.
Just a little glitter.
It is very full wheel. Thanks, Rosie. I appreciate that. This one is a lot of fun, Dorothy. It is fun to paint. Nothing about it is stressful. It is just fun to paint. I love the nose. The nose is, I think, probably my favorite. Yeah, everybody says they missed you when they were doing the glitter.
I was glad I was not here for the glitter.
So, just to reiterate, today we have 3 giveaways, and we have 4 brush set of Dynasty specialty brushes. Plus, we have a great little paint create bag. And of course, we always fill it with some other goodies as well. So you have that is our giveaway for today. So if Renee is ready to spin the wheel, there it goes. And remember, if your name is called, please hop over to the website and click on the little speech bubble on the lower right-hand corner of the screen and send us your shipping information, please, so we can get your goodies out to you as quickly as possible. And Married Home is the winner. Sue Braun says, we know that you get anxiety with the glitter. And spin it again. Carrie Siebold is the winner of the second one. You're very welcome, Rory. Thank you for coming.
Oh, my nose is itchy.
Oh, hugs back, Anne. And we have the last one is Lucy.
We know who that is.
We do know who that is, and I have her shipping information, so. All right, guys, that's it for us this Saturday. Come and join me next Saturday. We're going to be doing a little breadboard. You're going to love this one. So it's going to be a lot of fun, something ready to get ready for spring. So come and join us for that one. Same time, same bat channel. To my members, you have until the end of business today to get your challenge pieces in. I can't wait to see what else you've created. You guys are amazing. And our live class for my membership group is Thursday evening, 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And that is our Lighthouse class. So I will see you then. And everybody else, I will see you next Saturday right here. Thanks again for joining me today. Have a great week and a fabulous weekend. And for God's sake, stay warm.
Yeah, and pet your dog.
And pet your dog.
And that button.
That's the one.
And microphone.